Sloth. Sloth, suborder Folivora, tree-dwelling mammal noted for its slowness of movement. All 6 living species are limited to the lowland tropical forests of South and Central America, where they can be found high in the forest canopy sunning, resting, or feeding on leaves. Although two-toed sloths, family Megalonychidae, are capable of climbing and positioning themselves vertically, they spend almost all of their time hanging horizontally, using their large hook-like extremities to move along branches and vines. Three-toed sloths, family Bradypodidae, move in the same way but often sit in the forks of trees rather than hanging from branches. Sloths have long legs, stumpy tails, and rounded heads with inconspicuous ears. Although they possess color vision, their eyesight and hearing are not very acute. Orientation is mainly by touch. The limbs are adapted for suspending the body rather than supporting it. As a result, sloths are completely helpless on the ground unless there is something to grasp. Even then, they are able only to drag themselves along with their claws. They are surprisingly good swimmers. Generally nocturnal, sloths are solitary and are aggressive toward others of the same sex. Sloths have large multi-chambered stomachs and an ability to tolerate strong chemicals from the foliage they eat. The leafy food is digested slowly. A fermenting meal may take up to a week to process. The stomach is constantly filled, its contents making up about 30% of the sloth's weight. Sloths descend to the ground at approximately 6-day intervals to urinate and defecate. See sidebar, a moving habitat. Physiologically, sloths are heterothermic, that is, they have imperfect control over their body temperature. Normally ranging between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius, 77 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit, their body temperature may drop to as low as 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, the animals become torpid. Although heterothermicity makes sloths very sensitive to temperature change, they have thick skin and are able to withstand severe injuries. All sloths were formerly classified in the same family, Bradypodidae, but two-toed sloths have been found to be so different from three-toed sloths that they are now classified in a separate family, Megalonychidae. Three-toed sloths. The three-toed sloth, family Bradypodidae, is also called the AI in Latin America because of the high-pitched cry it produces when agitated. All 4 species belong to the same genus, Bradypus, and the coloration of their short facial hair bestows them with a perpetually smiling expression. The brown-throated three-toed sloth, B. variegatus, occurs in Central and South America from Honduras to northern Argentina. The pale-throated three-toed sloth, B. tridactylus, is found in northern South America. The Maine sloth, B. torquatus, is restricted to the small Atlantic forest of southeastern Brazil, and the pygmy three-toed sloth, B. pygmaeus, inhabits the Isla Escudo de Veraguas, a small Caribbean island off the northwestern coast of Panama. Although most mammals have 7 neck vertebrae, three-toed sloths have 8 or 9, which permits them to turn their heads through a 270 degrees arc. The teeth are simple pegs, and the upper front pair are smaller than the others. Incisor and true canine teeth are lacking. Sloths, however, have true molars, each species having 5 upper molars and 4 lower ones. Adults weigh only about 4 kilograms, 8.8 pounds, and the young weigh less than 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds, possibly as little as 150 to 250 grams, about 5 to 9 ounces, at birth. The birth weight of B. torquatus, for example, is only 300 grams, about 11 ounces, The head and body length of three-toed sloths averages 58 centimeters, 23 inches, and the tail is short, round, and movable. The forelimbs are 50% longer than the hind limbs. All 4 feet have 3 long, curved, sharp claws. Sloths' coloration makes them difficult to spot, even though they are very common in some areas. The outer layer of shaggy long hair is pale brown to gray and covers a short dense coat of black and white underfur. The outer hairs have many cracks, perhaps caused by the algae living there. The algae give the animals a greenish tinge, especially during the rainy season. Sexes look alike in the Maine sloth, but in the other species males have a large patch, speculum, in the middle of the back that lacks over hair, thus revealing the black dorsal stripe and bordering white underfur, which is sometimes stained yellow to orange. The Maine sloth gets its name from the long black hair on the back of its head and neck. Three-toed sloths, although mainly nocturnal, may be active day or night but spend only about 10% of their time moving at all. They sleep either perched in the fork of a tree or hanging from a branch, with all 4 feet bunched together and the head tucked in on the chest. In this posture the sloth resembles a clump of dead leaves, so inconspicuous that it was once thought these animals ate only the leaves of Cecropia trees, because in other trees sloths went undetected. Research has since shown that sloths eat the foliage of a wide variety of other trees and vines. Locating food by touch and smell, the sloth feeds by hooking a branch with its claws and pulling it to its mouth. Sloths' slow movements and mainly nocturnal habits generally do not attract the attention of predators such as jaguars and harpy eagles. Normally, three-toed sloths are silent and docile, but, if disturbed, they can strike out furiously with their sharp foreclaws. Reproduction is seasonal in the brown and pale-throated species. The Maine sloth may breed throughout the year. Reproduction in pygmy three-toed sloths, however, has not yet been observed. A single young is born after less than 6 months gestation. Newborn sloths cling to the mother's abdomen and remain with the mother until at least 5 months of age. Three-toed sloths are so difficult to maintain in captivity that little is known about their breeding behavior and other aspects of their life history. Two-toed sloths. Both species of two-toed sloths, family Megalonychidae, also called unaus, belong to the genus Colepus. Linnaeus's two-toed sloth, C. didactylus, lives in northern South America east of the Andes and south to the central Amazon basin. Hoffman's two-toed sloth, C. hoffmanni, is found in Central and South America from Nicaragua to Peru and western Brazil. The two species can be distinguished by the color of the fur on the throat. Hoffman's has a conspicuously pale throat, whereas Linnaeus's is dark. Like the three-toed sloths, two-toed sloths have a layer of thick, long, grayish-brown hair with algae growing in it that covers a short coat of underfur. But, whereas the three-toed sloth's outer hairs are cracked transversely, those of the two-toed sloth have longitudinal grooves that harbor algae. The overhair is parted on the abdomen and hangs down over the sides of the body. Two-toed sloths are slightly larger than three-toed sloths. The head and body are about 60 to 70 centimeters, 24 to 27 inches, long, and adults weigh up to 8 kilograms, 17.6 pounds. The young weigh only 340 grams, 12 ounces, at birth. The two-clawed forelimbs are only somewhat longer than the hind limbs, which have 3 claws. Although most mammals have 7 neck vertebrae, and three-toed sloths have 8 or 9, two-toed sloths have only 6 or 7. Normally docile and reliant on their concealing coloration for protection, two-toed sloths, if molested, will snort and hiss, biting savagely and slashing with their sharp foreclaws. A single young is born after almost 12 months gestation. The offspring emerges head first and face upward as the mother hangs. As soon as the baby's front limbs are free, it grasps the abdominal hair of the mother and pulls itself to her chest. The mother sometimes assists in birth by pulling on the young. The mother then chews through the umbilical cord, and the young sloth, after its eyes and ears open, clings to the fur of the mother for about 5 weeks. After it leaves its mother, it reaches maturity in 2 to 3 years. In captivity, two-toed sloths have lived more than 20 years, maximum lifespan is thought to be over 30. Conservation status. 2 of the 4 species of three-toed sloths are classified as species of least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, IUCN. However, the organization considers the pygmy three-toed sloth as a critically endangered species and the Maine three-toed sloth as a vulnerable one. The IUCN also rates Hoffman's two-toed sloth and Linnaeus's two-toed sloth as species of least concern. Classification and paleontology. All sloths were formerly included in the family Bradypodidae, but the two-toed sloths have been found to be of a different family, Megalonychidae, whose extinct relatives, the ground sloths, once ranged into areas of North America as far north as Alaska and southern Canada. Different species of ground sloths varied greatly in size. Most were small, but one, the giant ground sloth, Megatherium americanum, was the size of an elephant. Others were as tall as present-day giraffes. The period of the ground sloth's extinction coincides approximately with the end of the last ice age and the arrival of humans in North America. Sloths are placed in the suborder Folivora, and they are grouped with anteaters in the order Pilosa, which, together with the armadillos, constitutes the magnorder Xenarthra. Classification and paleontology. All sloths were formerly included in the family Bradypodidae, but the two-toed sloths have been found to be of a different family, Megalonychidae, whose extinct relatives, the ground sloths, once ranged into areas of North America as far north as Alaska and southern Canada. Different species of ground sloths varied greatly in size. Most were small, but one, the giant ground sloth, Megatherium americanum, was the size of an elephant. Others were as tall as present-day giraffes. The period of the ground sloth's extinction coincides approximately with the end of the last ice age and the arrival of humans in North America. Sloths are placed in the suborder Folivora, and they are grouped with anteaters in the order Pelosa, which, together with the armadillos, constitutes the magnorder Xenarthra.